Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. A 24-year-old man in Salouit, Nunavik has been charged in connection with a series of sexual crimes related to a minor. Nunavik police say they arrested the man on August 5th. They say the arrest came after a family member of the victim reported a sexual assault. Police say the victim is a young child. The accused faces 4 charges, including sexual interference, sexual assault against a minor, and making and possessing child pornography. Nunavik police say the officers seized the suspect's phone and are still examining it.
We will have to analyze the result of the search in the phone, and after that we will have some people to meet around this investigation. People around, relative and things. People like that who might know something.
The suspect will next appear in court on October 28th. He remains in police custody. The Gwich'in Tribal Council's annual General Assembly had a slow start today in Sigachik. Members of the table couldn't agree on the agenda to begin the 3-day gathering. Kelly McLeod is the president of the Nitat Gwich'in Council that represents Inuvik. He hopes the discussions will be constructive and positive this week.
What we're bringing forward is we're just asking a lot of questions based on the information that's presented. That's our duty as delegates and directors within our respective councils to do that and make sure that we're asking a lot of questions so we can understand what everybody's up to and ultimately for the betterment of our participants as a whole.
Each of the 4 communities in the Gwich'in settlement area has representatives at the Assembly. The original agenda was amended following discussions among representatives. All of Fort McPherson and Sigachik's members voted to accept the amended agenda, while all of Aklavik and Inuvik voted against it. Grand Chief Frederick Sonny Blake was the tiebreaker and accepted the agenda to start the Assembly after the lunch break. And as the Gwich'in Tribal Council begins its annual General Assembly today, the Council will not present its routine audited financial statements, according to a news release from the organization. The Council blames the situation on delays in getting financial information from the Gwich'in Development Corporation, which is owned by the Tribal Council. The news release alleges many, quote, failures with the Development Corporation. Among the allegations, a cybersecurity incident at the corporation that saw $360,000 transferred from its accounts to an unknown account. None of the allegations have been tested in court. The Assembly runs until August 22nd in Sigachik. Iqaluit residents held a pro-Palestinian march and peaceful protest on Tuesday. It aimed to help shine a light on the humanitarian crisis in Gaza on World Humanitarian Day. The CBC's Mahnur Mubarak has more.
Inuit for Palestine!
Inuit for Palestine!
The protest in support of Palestine involved a rally, march, and throat singing. Ima Reituk Angoti Marek is Inuk. She's also the main organizer for the protest. She says it's important for Indigenous people to unite and show their care for others.
What we've gone through is not too far from what's happening over there with forced relocation and the death of so many children and the injustice going on in Gaza. So I really do feel for them.
The latest war between Israel and Hamas, a Palestinian militant group, has been going on for almost 2 years now. More than 61,000 Palestinians have been killed since October 2023, according to local health officials who do not distinguish between fighters and non-combatants. Many in Gaza are facing widespread hunger. Ajabi Andrew is a protester who took part in the rally. He says at first he was apprehensive to show up.
I was feeling very stressed to come out here. I don't know why, because I see so much hate online, but out here, all you're hearing is support.
Organizers say they plan on holding more pro-Palestinian protests in the future. Mahnur Mubarak, CBC News, Iqaluit.
The Yukon and Alaska governments have signed an agreement to address the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit Plus people. The Memorandum of Understanding was signed last week, and it outlines how the regions should work together and share practices. The executive director of the Liard Aboriginal Women's Society says she hopes the territory can learn from Alaska. She says the state dedicates a lot more resources to the issue.
I was quite impressed sitting in at the signing with what Alaska's doing. They've got a big department. They seem to be doing a lot of work in the area of missing and murdered. What they have in place structures is fantastic. I think we have a lot of work yet to do in the Yukon. We don't have any funding from YG really to address MMIWG. And also in the plan, there's commitments for us as Indigenous women in the strategy under the implementation, but we don't have the funds to do that.
Rader hopes the new agreement helps people to find missing loved ones faster. The government of Alberta is proposing changes to how it manages water in the Slave, Peace, and Athabasca River basins. The changes to the province's Water Act would make it easier to move water between the three regions, but they could leave NWT lakes and rivers worse off. The main concern is something called inter-basin transfers. Those make it easier to move water between the three basins in order to help supply drinking water to communities. Alberta-based advocacy group Keepers of the Water says it risks lowering water levels in the north, especially along marine transportation routes.
We know from the past few years what those impacts are. It affects transportation. Barges can't get to our communities to supply them with fuel, hardware, groceries, etc.
Jason Unger is an environmental lawyer in Edmonton. He says the concerns are fair and that if Alberta diverts water away from downstream lakes and rivers, it creates a risk that less will flow into the NWT.
Understanding that budget or that water budget or math is not an easy thing to do, but certainly that's one of the key things that we think has to be considered.
The government of Alberta says the changes are needed in the face of recurring droughts in the province and that the proposed changes won't impact the Northwest Territories. New legislation that sets guardrails for landlords and tenants will soon be enacted in the Yukon. The proposed Residential Tenancies Act was passed by the Legislative Assembly in the springtime, and it includes several big changes. Earlier today, the Yukon government laid some of those changes out during a technical briefing. They include a rent cap system for the Yukon that's tied to inflation. As of September, landlords won't be allowed to raise rent within the first 12 months of a tenancy. Afterward, rent can only be raised once per year. Also, under the new act, tenants are entitled to 1 month's rent if renovations or repairs end a tenancy. Tenants will also get the first right of refusal to move back into the unit once those renovations are complete. Another change is compensation.
It did not exist in the act, in the previous act. It doesn't exist in all jurisdictions, but now the Yukon does require compensation when ending a tenancy for certain reasons, which is a big shift from where we were before.
The Yukon government says the new act will hopefully strike a balance between those who rent and those who own. The new act will be in force on September 1st. The caribou harvest season is beginning in Nunavut with a few additions this year. The territory's Environment Department has started a voluntary Baffin Island caribou sample collection program. The department says it'll help them monitor the health and age of harvested caribou. Hunters are encouraged to pick up a kit from conservation officers or local hunters and trappers organizations. There will be a $100 payment for a full set of samples. This year, the cap for the Baffin Island caribou harvest is $500, but a member of the Arctic Bay Hunters and Trappers Association is questioning the quota.
People that are on the other side of Baffin Island can hunt caribou as much as they want, whenever they want. I wasn't really happy when they were given 40 tags to hunt in Arctic Bay, and I just wondered why.
The Kikatalik Wildlife Board, which sets the quota, plans to increase it each year until 2032. It was a historic day for Team Nunavut at the Canada Summer Games in St. John's. The men's indoor volleyball team won their first ever match at the Games.
Big T, and that's going to do it. Nunavut will win it by a score of 27 to 25, Bill Hart. What a match this was here.
This was fantastic.
That was the moment Team Nunavut won their match against the NWT. Nunavut lost the first set, then rallied back to take the next 3 in a row for the win. They lost all their matches in their other only appearance 3 years ago. Clyde Rivers' Troy Jonas started the winning rally, and Iqaluit's Philip Barassa got the winning block. The women's team lost a close game against the NWT, losing the first 2 sets by 2 points. And the Canada Games isn't just about sport, there's also arts and culture. Last week, a sealskin kayak was on display on the shores of Kitty Vitty Lake. The lake sits at the east end of St. John's, where the Games held canoe kayak races. 2 of the people who built it were on site to explain the significance.
The kayak is made out of juniper, birchwood, and spruce. It's tied together with line, nylon sinew. It's all sealskin. Different types of seal. It's the square flipper, the harp seal, and the ring seal we use for the cover of the kayak. We were a month doing the frame, and 3.5 days sewing the skins on. My mother there, when she was a little girl up in Fort Chimo, she used to be up in one, she told me, up inside of the kayak. And her father there, her father in the picture, he used to paddle the kayak. It took a long time for me to decide, but I decided to try to make one. First I was afraid to start to make it because I didn't know how to make it really. And I thought it might be all crooked and leaky. But after years I decided to make it.
I didn't believe him. I didn't think we were going to be able to do it. He surprised me. He really surprised me. He was good at everything else too, not just this. He's into everything. Everything.
I did it in memory of my mother and her people and all Inuit on the Labrador coast, I guess. To me it was important to keep the tradition going there and do stuff in memory of them. They're all passed on now, and really important to me to keep it going.
So,
big honor to be here to the Canada Games. It's once in a lifetime thing, I think, to be able to bring our kayak out here and show a bit of our culture.
I love it. I didn't think we were ever going to be able to be in a big thing like this. And it's here now, it's happening, it's done. A good feeling, a very good feeling.
The future is everything. Stories of incredible ingenuity, dedication, and some extraordinary teamwork. This is parenthood.
Take a voyage with me to the vast, remote, most extreme place on Earth.
For many, this will be a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Where the effects of climate change are intensifying.
The poles are a very rapidly changing place.
And geopolitical cracks threaten peace and stability.
Do you think there's a security concern?
I definitely do.
Experience the historic all-Canadian mission. CBC in Antarctica. Watch free on CBC Gem.
Want to get the most out of CBC News? Use the app or cbcnews.ca for live breaking news on the stories that matter to you. Whether it's local, national, or around the world, turn to CBC News.
It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
All of this, just single detached homes.
Yes.
What do we know? I think we can explain.
About that with Andrew Chang.
Although the NBA currently is flooded with Canadian players, this was not a reality.
A new immigration law.
This story, it's directly tied to all of those families who made a brave choice to come to this country.
My favorite word.
Tariff!
How seriously are you taking this threat?
It's the uncertainty that's the biggest issue.
Canada, we got you.
Elbows up!
Construction of a new polar icebreaker for the Canadian Coast Guard is officially starting. These are pictures from the ceremony earlier today in Finland to mark the occasion. The federal government awarded a $3.25 billion contract to Quebec's Davie shipyard to build the Polar Max vessel. Canadian workers are also working with Finland to build the hull. Last year, Canada, Finland, and the United States signed the Ice Pact, an agreement to jointly develop the country's Arctic capabilities. But the future of the pact remains uncertain amid new policies from the Trump administration. Earlier this year, the Buy Canadian movement was in full force across the country. A trade war between Canada and the U.S. sparked the pride-fueled trend. But months later, CBC News wanted to know if Dawson City, Yukon residents are still supporting Canadian products. Chris McIntyre found out.
When visiting either of the grocery stores in Dawson City, it's not hard to notice these little tags still sprawled throughout the shelves. From margarine and cream cheese to honey and popcorn and even paper towels, it's clear the stores want the customers to know which products are Canadian and which aren't. Nathan Herniak is the manager of the Bonanza Market. He says when the Buy Canadian movement started in February, about 70% of his customer base was trying to shop exclusively Canadian. Now, Naherniak says that number has dropped.
I don't think the momentum is not there. And I think being kind of out of the news for the summer and everybody's busy in the summer, people tend to forget about issues during the summer months.
Naherniak says he's been in the grocery business for decades. He says trends and movements like this come and go. He says at the end of the day, people are going to buy what they want, what they like, and what they can afford. Randy Ostashik works at the store. She says she tries to buy Canadian products as much as she can before sourcing products from elsewhere. Ostashik says it's not always easy or affordable to keep it local.
You can't just buy only Canadian. We import too much stuff. It's just a fact. And, you do the very best you can. If you can do it, a little beef from Alberta never hurt nobody.
Down the street at the general store, owner Kyler Mather says not much has changed from a few months ago. He says people are still buying Canadian products.
But I think as long as there's tariffs and as long as the trade isn't where it was before, I think it'll continue in this direction for sure.
Nicholas Wetstein was shopping at the store. He says he's willing to sacrifice the foods and the places he likes to keep his national pride strong.
I like to use Bush's Baked Beans as an example. I love Bush's Baked Beans, but I haven't bought a can in 2 months. I don't plan on traveling to the States or anything like that, so yeah, I'm trying my best to keep going with it.
The Canadian local pride isn't exclusive to the grocery stores. A not-so-far walk down the way takes you to another place showing this. Whereas the Buy Canadian slogan isn't commonly heard very much around here these days, here in Dawson City, it's pretty clear the town is Canadian proud and not afraid to show it. Chris McIntyre, CBC News, Dawson City.
CBC News has learned there's been an increase in the amount of cocaine seized at the border, hidden inside transport trucks. The drugs were being smuggled from the U.S. into Canada. As Thomas Dagla explains, in one case linked to a high-profile fugitive, truckers used a secret compartment.
They're a familiar sight on Canadian highways. Transport trucks are being used to help fuel a surge in drugs smuggled here across the U.S. border.
We are seeing unprecedented amounts of cocaine coming into this country.
CBC News analyzed all the busts in recent years Canada's border agency announced publicly. Our investigation finds a sharp rise in cocaine uncovered in commercial trucks. 1,100 kilograms so far this year. That's more than 1 ton and more than previous years.
There's been an overproduction of cocaine in Colombia, which means that they have to move a lot more product.
Indeed, the CBSA is reporting a flurry of seizures. In one bust in May, officers say they found $23 million worth of cocaine stashed in garbage bags and suitcases.
It coincides with the general lawlessness that's spreading in our industry.
One big seizure at the Blue Water Bridge linking Michigan to Ontario offers a glimpse into a smuggling scheme. Court documents show truckers used a hidden compartment to conceal cocaine bricks and carried the tools needed to access that hidden stash. 2 Canadians have now agreed to plead guilty in the conspiracy linked to former Olympian turned fugitive Ryan Wedding.
60 metric tons of cocaine per year and 5 metric tons of fentanyl per month moved through Los Angeles on its way to U.S. and Canadian cities.
The trucking industry is demanding more inspections at the border to help address what it considers a crisis.
We need Ottawa and the provinces in Washington to step in and bring law and order.
According to police, more than 6,000 tons of cocaine have poured into Canada in less than a year, an amount officials describe as unprecedented. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
On Tuesday's show, we told you how Peter Esau was honored with an RCMP regimental headstone. Esau died in 2017. He was a special constable who served in Sachs Harbor in the 1950s. Part of his duties involved helping RCMP officers adapt to their new postings, and he often showed them how to trap and live off the land. Esau was a well-known trapper, and we found a special piece of tape on him in our archives that showcases his skill. The following first aired on The Nature of Things in 1971. A warning, it does use an outdated term for Inuit. Here's Peter Esau on The Nature of Things.
This is Peter Esau, one of the most successful trappers on Banks Island. Peter's world is both old and new. He lives by his wits off the land, but he does it on a skidoo. He hunts the caribou and the polar bear with a high-powered rifle. He never went to school and can't read or write, but he's a good provider for his wife and 7 children. This is in mid-November, the beginning of the white fox season, and Peter is setting off on his 200-mile trap line, which he will cover in a solitary 3-week trip. The days are very short. In another week, toward the end of November, he will work in complete darkness. He puts out about 1,000 traps and goes up and down his line 3 times during the winter season. He uses about 540 gallons of gasoline, and he receives about $20 for a prime fox pelt. Why are the people of Banks Island so anxious to continue their way of life on the island when there are so many other things that people can do?
Well, these people up here are, they're quite proud people, that they like to make their own living, or, you know, if they don't like when somebody tell them what to do, you know, they like to work themselves. When it's trapping time, they work hard and make their living, and that way they're more free, and that's why they like to be trappers.
Can't you do that somewhere else, if you had to?
Well, it's, I don't know if any other places that they ever make good money like these trappers up here, because when we hit a pretty good year, we make pretty good money.
How much do you make?
Well, the most I ever make is 21,000 one year.
Is that general? Do many people make that much?
No, not too many people, but average is, it's not that high, but it's only one good year I hit up here ever since I came up.
Have the oil companies offered the Eskimo jobs?
Yeah, they offered Eskimo jobs, but for what they're paying, it's not worth it for the natives to go out and work, because it's too low a pay. Like, I wouldn't work even if they pay me fairly good, because I don't like to work by time. I like to trap, and I don't like somebody to tell me what to do, because I could make my own living on trapping.
That was Peter Esau on the nature of things, and that first aired in 1971. Just a quick note about Esau's $21,000 trapping year. Adjusted for inflation and using the Bank of Canada inflation calculator, $21,000 in 1971 is just under $165,000 today. Esau was honored in Nunavik on Tuesday with an RCMP regimental headstone. Let's take a look at your weather. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. We leave you tonight with a look at a recent celebration that was held for athletes returning home to Baker Lake, Nunavut. Some of those athletes made history this year as the first basketball players the territory has ever sent to the Canada Games. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night.